Welcome back to Arsenal News TV, and today we're going to look at the Arsenal player ratings for this season so far. So it's time to reflect on the Gunners' season so far and dish out a rating to every player to have stepped onto the turf for them consistently during the campaign. A mixed bag has probably been the best way to describe Arsenal's season so far. The Gunners currently sit 9th in the Premier League with 29 games played. If you'd offered most fans this at the start of the season, they would almost definitely have been disappointed. But given the fact that Mikel Arteta's side were 15th at Christmas and in genuine relegation trouble, most would actually be slightly more happy with their current league position. Since the 3-1 victory over Chelsea on Boxing Day, Arsenal have more or less entirely turned their form around, and were it not for a host of individual errors, they will likely be pushing for a top 6 or even a top 4 spots. However, that combined with their slow start to the campaign means that winning the Europa League is probably their best bet if they want to be playing European football next season. A favourable draw against Slavia Prague in the quarterfinals of the competition looks to have made that more likely, before a potential reunion with Unai Emery against Villarreal up for grabs in the semis. But with the season having paused for a little while for the international break, now seems like the ideal time to start to look at how the Arsenal players have been getting on this season, as I rate the Gunners squad's individual campaigns so far. And today we're going to look at the goalkeepers of Arsenal in this campaign. So we're going to first start off with Bernd Leno. For much of Arsenal's awful run in November and December, Bernd Leno was one of Arsenal's most consistent performers. Without him, there's a high chance that things could easily have gotten even worse in that time. His penalty save in the dying moments of the victory against Chelsea will also probably go down as one of the sliding doors moments of this season, and perhaps Mikel Arteta's managerial career. Recently though, a string of errors when playing out from the back, with ones against Burnley and Olympiacos standing out in particular, combined with the moments of madness that saw him sent off against Wolves, have seen many start to question whether Arsenal made the right decision in keeping him and letting Emiliano Martinez go. That debate is somewhat pointless, as what has happened cannot be changed, and it's not exactly as if Bernd Leno is miles worse than his former backup. Sure, Emiliano Martinez has done well at Aston Villa, but there have been moments where the Argentine has made errors too. A few mistakes should not cloud how important Bernd Leno has been this season, and he deserves a high rating because of that. So out of 10, I think Bernd Leno for his season so far, I think he deserves a 7. So the next person on the list is Matt Ryan. If points were given for the most secretive transfer Arsenal have made this season, then Matt Ryan would surely be the best rated player on this list. The Australian keeper caught everyone by surprise when it was announced that he was joining the Gunners on loan from Brighton for the remainder of the season in January. It's quite difficult to judge him given the fact that he's only played one game since then, but if the club can convince him to stay, they seem to have a solid enough number 2 for Bernd Leno. So it's difficult to give Matt Ryan a player rating since he has only played one game, and we cannot judge a player for the whole rest of the season just from that one game. So he deserves no rating from me. So the final person on the list is Runar Alex Runarsson. Mikel Arteta has only been in management for just over a year, so he hasn't had too much time to make too many signings. Not matter how long his career lasts though, he will have to go some way to manage one worse than Runar Alex Runarsson. It feels harsh to go in too hard on the Iceland international, who clearly isn't good enough to play at this level. It's not exactly his fault that Arsenal signed him, but with errors against Dundalk, Rapid Vienna and Manchester City in particular, it quickly became apparent that this was a deal the Gunners would have to write off almost immediately. Runarsson was left out of the Europa League squad for the second half of the season, and it would be amazing if he's still at the club by the time the next campaign begins. And it's fair to say that Runar Alex Runarsson isn't clearly good enough to play at this level, and it's actually not his fault because Arsenal have signed him, and it was a very poor signing from the Gunners. But for his performance so far until the end of this part of the season, I think it was clearly poor from the player, and I think for his performance he deserves a 4. So this is the Arsenal player ratings for the goalkeepers for the season so far. I'm going to carry on this series for the defenders, the midfielders and the strikers. But if you guys want to see that, make sure you guys leave it in the comments below. And this is the goalkeepers, and you can clearly see that when it comes to the Gunners season so far, when it comes to Bernd Leno, well, he has had a decent season, but that is something that he has to get rid of, is his mistakes. Because I think what has happened to him is the fact that when he has these defenders making mistakes, I think he has came on to him, and it's came on to him like a disease, and now he's starting to make mistakes here and there, and it's something that he has to watch out, because there are going to be many Arsenal fans that are going to criticize every single mistake he makes and compare it to Emiliano Martinez, even though it's a pointless thing to do, because now Emiliano Martinez has left Arsenal and he will never join back unless Arsenal try to re-sign him back or something. But when it comes to Bernd Leno, he's going to be our number 1 goalkeeper, and we have to back him as much as possible. And if you give him the confidence, he will start to show it onto the pitch. But if you start to show him no confidence, we saw what happened to Runar Alex Runarsson when that first mistake he made. The confidence wasn't there, and then he started to make more and more mistakes, and then eventually not even being in the starting lineup or even in the reserves team or in the substitutes bench for the Arsenal lineup. So when it comes to Arsenal, when they have their goalkeepers, they have decent goalkeepers, but they need to find a backup to Bernd Leno if Matt Ryan isn't going to be here next season. But other than that, guys, make sure you guys remain blessed, stay tuned for the next video, and comment below if you guys want me to carry this on for the defenders, midfielders and attackers.